Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Galit Speaks. I have an awesome guest for you today. His name is Sam Mitchell. He runs a successful podcast called Autism Rocks and Rolls. He has autism himself, and his podcast has exploded and become really successful. He's had some big names on his show, like Armani Williams, who is the first NASCAR driver open about having autism, and American Idol rocker James Durbin, who has autism and Tourette's. One of his biggest guests was Dr. Temple Grandin, a professor in animal science at Colorado State University and an autism activist. He is a motivational speaker, entrepreneur, sells merchandise, has several sponsors, a creative writer, and a blogger, and has also published a TED Talk called Sold Structure. And he's only recently graduated high school, so it's pretty amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Sam. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yep, good to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your journey and how you made it to this point. When did you decide to have a podcast and what led you to this?
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Sam Mitchell. It's going to be everyone out there. And I run the podcast called Autism Rocks and Rolls, and it is about autism and how we cope with daily struggles that you may or may not understand. I ran since October 2019. You said so my big guest, Temple Grandin, and one he didn't mention, that was the wrestling hardcore legend, Mick Foley, and I have over 14K downloads with lots of sponsors, and it's grown to a nonprofit with a board of lots of people. I've done some speaking gigs. I've spoken in Oklahoma, Orlando, Canada, too.
Whoa.
And I've also done some local speaking from where I'm from. I've spoken in DC. How it started, though, is I joined my high school's media club, and ever since I joined that, I fell in love with it so much that I wanted to continue with my own media skills by starting my own podcast. Hence, Autism Rocks and Rolls was born.
That's awesome. So, when were you diagnosed with autism and how has that been?
Well, I gotta make sure. I know what I know. It's funny. I also have a peanut allergy, so I always kind of like, okay, which one came first, the allergy or the autism? Four. Yeah, peanut allergy was two. Four was autism.
Okay. And when you were diagnosed, what changed for you in terms of how you were able to be treated and taught and communicated with?
Well, I mean, really, I didn't really have a lot. I was excluded, dealt with all the bullying and fun stereotyping, so that's kind of hard to do. Not much of a social life at that time frame. It was just me being different and kids at that age. I mean, I'm not talking about just elementary kids, middle school, high school kids. We're talking about K through 12 ages. They just don't have time for different.
Right. Yeah. And how did you deal with that? Were your parents a big support system for you?
Oh yeah, family was a big support system. They always helped me out, and that was probably my big lifesaver right there. Was family supporting me in whatever way they can. I was always thankful for them. Still, am thankful for them. But how did I deal with it? Well, I mean, I dealt with exclusion by just trying to do what I need to do and then get out of there. So I just did my academics, then left the school and went to my happy place, which consisted of many places. Where it could have been rock and roll music, pro wrestling, but eventually, after a sophomore year, it kind of changed, and I just got tired of being the outsider. So I finally just put myself out there and made some buddies, and it worked out well too.
That's great. So how did you let's talk about that. How did you end up meeting your buddies and how did you know that those were the right places for you to be?
Well, I think it was kind of, man. Well, I think that most of my classmates we were basically a bad class. There's no easy other way to say it. But the class coming in were really good kids. They were just, good people. So I just thought the best way was to wait till then. And my plan worked because I still keep in contact with some of the class of 2022 today.
Yeah, that's great. And w- was there less bullying when you waited for that other class, or did you also come
It still
across a little
happened
bit?
here and there, but there was less. But freshman year, that was the worst probably of it because I would get picked on for the simplest things, like maybe scratching my ear the wrong way or the way I spoke or me being a good student and caring about my academics so much.
Yeah. Did anyone in the school speak up for you? Were there other kids or teachers or anyone like that who had your
Oh,
back?
no. I mean, I had a buddy who did, but here and there, but most of it was behind your back bullying, I guess what you call it, where they would bully you and no one would either see it or it wouldn't be considered as bullying or the teacher could not do nothing about it because teachers can only do so much.
Right. Yeah,
You
I
can't
think
send a kid to the office for excluding a kid.
yeah. I think that type of bullying is so hard to handle because it's some of the most hurtful bullying, right? Is sometimes it's almost better when they acknowledge your existence and they say mean things to you, but like pretending that you're not even there or not letting you be a part of something is really traumatic and really hurtful.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the sad truth. I don't hate them. I never will. I just feel bad for them, truth be told. But to be honest with you, I still hold a grudge against them. I don't wish them death or anything like that. Like, I don't hate them that much,
Yeah,
but I don't want them around me again. Like, just get away from me, because if I see you again, you'll always be that person to me, regardless of how nice you treat me to this day. And I can forgive you though. It's possible I'll forgive, but I'm not going to forget. I'll tell you that much.
yeah. And so what kind of mental health issues did you have from the bullying and how were you able to overcome them? Did you go to therapy?
I did do one point it helped, but therapy today won't help because they just nag you with me. I need a solution when I go out the door. But what kind of mental health issues I need is anxiety and depression. Those are my two that I have. I have a lot of anxiety. It's probably from the bullying. I just have a lot of social anxiety as well. I do like to socialize, but to a point, once I socialize is done, I'm done. Like maybe I have to do a big presentation for 30 people. Okay, great. That's fine. I don't mind doing it, but I need to mentally prep for that. Like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? Get those thoughts out of my mind and realize, all right, I'm me. I embrace who I am. If they don't like it, they want to boo me right away. It ain't gonna affect who I am, and it ain't gonna change the fact that I'm still on the stage versus people sitting in the seats.
Right. Yeah. So with your podcast,
And I've been,
did,
and
did
if I may interrupt for a second, I've been
oh,
doing that. I've been speaking since 2022, and you'd think after a year I would have to stop doing that. Nope, I still have to mentally prep and be like, all right, this is my place. I'm the person in charge. I don't. You're in my island of relevancy. I can easily throw you out.
yeah, I completely understand that. I've been, doing public speaking for for a very long time, probably since 2018. And it doesn't like I still get nervous before I go on stage. And it's something that like with time it eases, but I don't know if you ever fully get rid of that. So it's nice to know that somebody else feels that as well. How do you deal with that with your podcast? So how do you do your podcast? Do you go live? Is it something that is
It's
pre?
pre-recorded, and how do I do it? Well, it's not in front of people, so I just have a mic. So I don't really speak in front of people, so not much pressure. And I guess what I've been told through previous encounters is I'm a very fluent speaker, and I've been told that through my fluence, I use a lot of words that I guess I shouldn't be using today, and it's pretty cool. And thanks, Luis. I'm happy to hear that you have autism, ADHD. I also have ADHD, so something we're very like-minded there. But
Yeah, Lucas
anyway,
was a guest on this show as well, and we got to
oh,
talk about his autism. He's a so I just want to let everyone know who doesn't see it up on the screen. But Lewis said, "Hello, Galit. Hi, Sam. I too have autism and ADHD. And if you go to like my previous episodes, he is actually a scuba diver and working on his certification to be a mermaid and doing that through the lens of autism."
Wow, Luis, we need to talk, my friend. I got a Facebook page, so friend me on there and we'll talk. But anyway, I was just gonna say that I get that too. I mean, I've been through that still, and it's still very effective.
Yeah. So going back to your podcast, when you decided to do this, right? You decided because you were in, you said media in high school and you wanted that to continue. Did you decide to pre-record it first? And where is your podcast? Like, what outlets is your
Well,
podcast
our
on?
school's podcast was called Thundercast, so I just followed the same structure because I love the structure so much, and it made sense in my head because I've been doing it so long. So I kind of just took the structure of Thundercast with me and incorporated it into my own in some capacity.
Yeah. And what are the different topics that you talk about on Autism Rocks and Rolls?
Well, I have an acronym. It's called APE. So the A stands for autism behaviors, maybe AB, but maybe ABP. So it wouldn't make any sense. So the A is for autism behaviors. So that stands for maybe I talk about a behavior I did when I was 4 or a tendency that I still do. I mean, varieties on what the topic is. And some of the examples of those is I did one on table manners. I know I've had an issue with table manners once upon a time. I don't anymore. I'm more clean than I once was. But if you looked at me, you would think I was a slob and filthy. However, it's still more though, because I had an episode on anxiety. I had a lot of sensitive feelings, so not internally, but externally is what I say. I have a wet t-shirt issue, so I don't like wearing wet clothes. So that's another issue. And then P, that stands for perspective. So I've done a lot of interviews on people as well. Like I've interviewed Temple Grandin, Mick Foley, and I try to make it as inclusive as possible. So the only rule is to come on my shows, you have to have a story. So I've actually had people who are, believe it or not, sexual assault survivors and ex-convicts.
Yeah.
So that's one. And then E stands for entertainment. So this is one where I go out of the box. So I've compared certain things to autism. I've compared pinball to autism, Red Dead Redemption to autism, which is like an old Western video game that I like to fiddle around with. And then out of everything in this world, Scooby-Doo.
Whoa. So that like really has a broad, like broad topics. And I really love that you're taking all of these different things so that there's some that each person can identify with what they identify with. I think it's really important to kind of make it that way because autism is a spectrum, right? And there are so many different experiences, and each person has their own individual experiences. So it's important to make everyone feel included and feel seen and feel heard.
It is. I mean, if you think the guy who can't do anything, who may not look like the poster boy of 2023 with your body and your modeled looks, try again. Because, my friend, they might be more successful than what you envision as the poster boy of 2023.
Yeah. So what are your goals for 2023 and what are your goals for the podcast?
Well, I joke around with the podcast and say, ask me in 5 years and we'll talk again. Because the way I see this is I'm taking this taking this episode one day at a time, podcast one day at a time. So, I mean, it could lead me to next day where I go bankrupt. Next day could be I don't do it again. And that's not the plan because I enjoy doing it. But next day I could get an email from someone big, or I could be making an episode tomorrow, or I might be like, oh, hey, we're going to Brazil tomorrow to do a speaking gig. Oh, okay. So I like to kind of make it laid back. So it's just one day at a time to keep my mind set and straight.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good plan. So you said you just recently graduated from high school. Do you have any plans on further education
I
or?
do. We need to change that because it has probably now been a while. But I wrote that bio when I was 18. So
Okay.
I'm still in college, but I haven't recently graduated. I graduated in 2021, so a little while on to maybe consider it still recent. Maybe it's recent. You do the math, figure that out. But I would say that I'm going to Vincennes to study media and broadcasting.
That's awesome. So, do the people in the school also listen to your podcast, and have you showed it to your professors?
Well, I don't know. I have showed it to like my previous professors and the ones I'm doing right now. But as far as the media class, no, I'm moving out of home in August to go there.
That's awesome. So, are you moving to a place on your own, away from your family?
Yep, it's not too far. It's only an hour away, but it's still a little far than 30 minutes where I can just drive from the bank and go back home.
Yeah. So, did you get your own apartment? Do you have roommates? What is your
Oh
life?
no, if I have a roommate, we'd be bickering all the time. So, no. But I do have my own dorm, and I do have it situated out a little bit. I think as much as we can get situated for now. I have an orientation here in the next couple months, so we'll see how that goes.
That's awesome. So, yeah, how does it feel moving away from your home and from what it has been until now, your support system?
Oh, it's exciting and nervous. The typical college feelings that you get when you're moving away from your home for this reason. It'd be like any other person.
Yeah. So, what are the different things in college that you have to be aware of when it comes to your autism?
Manipulations. I mean, I'm a friendly guy, but I know someone can easily take advantage of that. And the next thing you know, I'm in a car handcuffed for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. So, how do you protect yourself against that? And for somebody that has autism that's looking to go to college, what kind of advice can you give them?
Well, you can't really know 100%. And I took Taekwondo, and for listeners, and anyone wants to listen, see my episode 129 on Black Belt's Journey. I'll tell you my information about Taekwondo, and I interviewed my Taekwondo instructors. But you can't know that 100%. It's kind of a gut instinct. I mean, today I haven't told my parents because I feel like I would get in trouble. I could tell he was being nice, but it could have been the other way around. Someone offered me a ride, and I said, "Oh, I was going to my grandparents," but he offered me a ride there. Well, I know he's probably not trying to kidnap me or anything, but I still didn't want to take that chance. So I politely just, stay out of the car and said, "Nah, I'm just going to go walk," and that went. Then we go. But he could have been that guy who was like, "Oh, I'm going to go take advantage of this guy,"
Right.
because he's so nice. Now I don't think he was, but we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important to understand. And I think that that's not necessarily limited to people with autism. I know that as humans, we're kind of like taught to believe that people are nice and to not necessarily trust our instincts. And I'm a huge proponent of like, if something doesn't feel right, I'd rather not be nice about it. Like I'm not going to get in a car with someone or stay in the room with someone or stay in the same area as someone if I get a bad feeling from them just to be nice. So I think it's really
Hey,
important.
it makes you feel any better. If you get in a car with me, you'll be treated right.
Yeah, I mean that does help. Yeah. So when things like that happen to you, right, and you're in situations that your intuition or your gut is telling you that you shouldn't be in that situation, what do you do?
Well, I mean, I did the first thing I did was just politely offer, say no thank you. But if he kept offering me, I'd be like, "Look, leave me alone, give him a warning, or you're gonna have an issue here, and we're gonna have to probably sell this out. I'll probably use some Taekwondo on you for the right reasons." Okay, that's your second warning. Third time, we're done. I'm using Taekwondo. End of story. Hopefully, you'll get protected. I don't have to use a fist to face, which I do not want to do at all. But you pushed me there.
Yeah. Do you feel that learning Taekwondo has given you some tools to be able to manage situations?
Some situations, yeah, when it comes to thinking about the world, yeah, but as far as self-control and discipline, no, I'm still a wild, crazy person. And I mean wild and crazy in a good way. But I still am very strong belief and strong-headed, so hard-headed as what they call. So that didn't really help much with the Taekwondo aspect. But as far as thinking about should I be doing this, should I not, and not over thinking about it 24/7, yeah, I would say so in that aspect.
Yeah. And with you said your personality that you're very strong-willed and so how do you go through life like that? What are the different personality traits and how do you think that they've affected you either in a good way or in a bad way?
Okay, I can probably help you out. So with this answer, I like to say I'm more of a doer than a dreamer. And I'm going to ask you a question in return, though. There's a reason why I'm asking this. If you had to pick any big name to be on your show, who would it be?
Ooh. Um
And there's a reason why I'm asking this.
yeah, I feel like I would have to say Oprah. I know it's the first person that popped into my head that I was like, like that's when I know like I've really made it I have so many things that I would want to pick her brain about.
Okay, that's a good answer. And have you asked her?
Huh. Have I asked her? No, but she is
Okay,
on my
stop right there. Stop right there.
yeah.
Stop right there for a second. Why not? What's stopping you? Because that's my point. That's my point right there. That's what doers do. They'd be like, all right, I'm going to try to get Oprah Winfrey on the show. And if it fails, it fails. Dreamers are like the majority of people, which are like, and this is cool that you are like this. I'm not judging you for it. It's the way America is. But they're like, you know what? I love to get this person for my event or this person for this conference I'm doing. But man, they're just too busy. It's affiliates with my job. I love to get, I'm going to make an example, Luke Combs to play at this school, but they're probably just so busy. Nope, not me. I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to get this person at my school to play for 5 minutes or for the day. And if it fails, you know what? It fails because I could at least say I'd rather try than hide. And fun fact, you're talking about Oprah. The definitely part of being the doer is I try to get Oprah on via the publicist of her. They told me no, but at least I tried. So my
Yeah.
point I'm trying to make here is this is just advice for people I give to everyone is be a doer, not a dreamer. So go do something that you really want to do versus thinking about all right, this probably won't work, this probably won't work. And I know you're trying to be realistic, but it's holding you back.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great advice because I think that me not asking her comes a little bit more from not necessarily being realistic, but having like imposter syndrome of even though I've reached a certain point in my life, I always feel like, and I've taken a lot of time to work on this, but I still feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here or I'm not good enough to be here. And it's really hard to make that jump, especially with somebody that you admire so much. Like you're scared. I think it's honestly just fear that I have to overcome. So I
Yeah.
really like what you're saying, which is kind of like, so what?
Wait, that's imposter syndrome? I thought imposter syndrome was where you just pretend to be someone.
No, so
Oh, shoot.
yeah, imposter syndrome is when you're in a place, but you feel like you don't belong there, even though you do.
Well, I
And
had that apparently because I still pinch myself like, am I still running a podcast with over 15K downloads? Am I really going to Canada? I mean, I guess I have it now apparently. Something new to add to the list.
yeah, so it's a weird thing, and so it comes on in kind of like spurts, right? It's not, I don't always feel like an imposter. A lot of times, feel really great about what I'm doing and where I am. And I do feel like I got here on my own talents and with my own hard work. But every so often you get into a situation, especially if you're in front of like a lot of super really successful people, and you're like, should I really be in this room? Like, is this really me? Like, but yeah, it is. So
Yeah,
it's
you think, is this the life I meant to have? Because I am not used to this. I'm used to being in the dark here, but yet here I am in the sunlight. What's up with that? This is a whole new experience. How do I adjust to it? Love being it. Appreciate that I am now. What do I do to make myself fit in here?
yeah,
Totally get it.
yeah, it's definitely an adjustment, and it's something that I've worked really hard to overcome. And there's still pieces of it like in my daily life, but it it definitely stems from my childhood. I grew up in an abusive household, and so I was told, very early in life that I was not worth anything by somebody that was
Oh
supposed to
man.
love me and be my parent. So that in turn, has a very long-term psychological effect. So I've had to work really hard on overcoming that, even though I know I'm smart and I know I belong and I know I'm in the right place. Um, yeah. So
Well,
it's
can I
been
interject and ask that person
sure.
who abused you was, you have to tell me which what relation or mother or father I could care less. Was it male or female? There's a
It
reason why
was a
I'm
male.
asking this again. Okay. Please, and I think this is true. If you're in that situation, this is what I've learned from others who have had this, and this is what I think would help. Have you found any other, like, not male models, but male role models in your life who are actually treat you with the respect that you deserve? Because if so, you beaten the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I have had better male role models in my life after that. I think for the first maybe 15 years after I left, because we ran away to a domestic violence shelter. And maybe for the first 15 years, it was very hard for me to have male role models or positive male relationships. But after being in therapy, and ultimately one of my best experiences in therapy was with a male therapist, and that felt like it helped me get over that fear of having male relationships, or having allowing allowing it was really allowing myself to have positive male relationships.
Right. Well, if you're around me, hey, I could have told you I wouldn't hurt you. I'm a male, so I don't know if that makes you feel better or not, but I'm just being truthful with you.
Yeah, no, I do like that, and I do appreciate that. Thankfully, yes, I now have several positive male relationships in my life, and um, my husband is someone that kind of really supports me and helps me and shows me what a positive male relationship can feel like, when there's somebody that tells you positive things about yourself rather than tries to break you down.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, what about you? What kind of oh, so there are people talking in the chat, so I want to just acknowledge them. Patricia McCarran said, "Yes, I agree. It's fear." So that was about the earlier part of the conversation about, fear of reaching out to people.
Oh, I get
Um,
it because it's scary. I mean, it's scary to reach out for help. Not the easiest thing to do. I mean, my friend said it best, Rich Beto, who's our keynote speaker for Gala, real quick, I'll plug that in. But he said, and I agree, and think of it this way, but a lot of people don't like help because they don't want to admit this, but it's true. They're comfortable where they're at.
yeah,
They're comfortable being sad.
Yeah. And then Lewis said you also have me too. Thank you, Lewis. Yeah, I really am super happy that I have now, you know, people in my life, males in my life that are very positive and working towards bigger and better things and that support me and what I'm doing. So, what about you? Do you have females in your life that support you and help you get to where you're getting?
Yeah, I came from birth. I'm not trying to brag, but I'm just trying to say, luckily, and I'm not trying to offend you at all. I mean, I'm just saying, luckily, I just came from a good family. I mean, that's just no easy way to say it. But I had female role models since the time I was born. So, yes, I would say from family, but as far as friend wise and that, I would say, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of family members that are really helpful and will do anything for me.
That's awesome. And do you have siblings?
Oh, no, I'd probably throw them out the window if I did.
Yeah. So that's cool. So you also don't wish you had siblings.
No, because I mean I am a people person, but I'm not a working together well with person. So I mean I prefer to work alone. I know with siblings and parenting it's cooperation 24/7. I couldn't do that 24/7. I can cooperate with you, but I can't do it constantly. I know there'd be situations like, all right, here's the deal. We're doing it this way. End of story. You do something dumb, I'm kicking you out
Yeah.
of my room.
Yeah. So with your autism, did you identify early your limitations or the things that trigger you?
I would say at a point in time, yes. I mean, the wet t-shirt was pretty easy. Wearing the wet clothes, that was easy. But then there were some that grow on. I mean, there's some issues that last longer, and there's some issues that go away. I mean, for the longest time, we had to work on me having foot and mouth syndrome. Well, we still work on that, but it's not to an extent. The wet t-shirt though, that has followed me since birth, my friend. And then as far as me trying to learn some motor skills, I had a point where I was afraid of wearing the shirt because of the when you put it like right there, it's like dark. I mean, that was a fear, and I'm fine with that now though.
And how
But
have
as far as
you
working with people, yeah, I'm not the best with that. I've never liked working with people. I like to do it on my own because I work at my own pace and learn a little slower or faster depending on what this is, and I can assess myself. But it's funny. I'd always be the kids that are, do you want to work together or by yourself? I'm the odd duck raising, by myself, please. I'm raising that roof.
yeah. So how did you so you said like the thing with the t-shirt, right? Um how did you know that you had to get over that fear and what process did you take in order to get over it?
Well, we try a lot of things, but the best thing I do, and I'm like a big hillbilly when I say this, but I tuck it in, which means like, it's wet right here on the bottom end, like right there. I would tuck that into my pants. Or if it's like up here, well, maybe up there because that's not possible, but up here where the O is and the rock and roll, if I got wet there, all right, we're going to pull it up a little bit and tuck him in. Either look like a big hillbilly and not the smartest tool in the shed, I have to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to be focusing on this 24/7, not enjoying what I should be able to enjoy. It's happened a lot at theme parks, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine. It what it's like to have different sensory things and not be able to kind of let them go. Is
Yeah.
there
I mean,
other things that you know?
half the time with the wet rides at, like the falls or the, what do you call them, lock flumes? What do you call them?
Hmm.
Something like that. Can't remember. But I would do it at a certain time frame. But the rule was, if I do it, we're going back to the car. We're changing clothes, or I'm not doing it. Good luck
Yeah.
me getting on. You're gonna have to kill me to get on there. Case in point, I remember a situation with that. I went to Holiday World. It's like our big theme park in Santa Claus, fun theme park. Check it out. But that was log flume ride. And I didn't mind writing it later because I knew we would go to the car and change our clothes. Well, these 3 boys who were with me at the time wrote it. And I was like, okay, fine. And I couldn't stop because I was outvoted. But I said, all right, you know what? I ain't riding. I'm not hopping on that log flume if we're not going to change our clothes. You guys go have fun. I'll just chill here. And that's what we did. They were able to handle getting wet. And I was like, you guys are nuts, because I would be the most uncomfortable and most awful person to be around at that moment.
Yeah, it's good that you recognize yourself and make allowances for yourself, and also understand, like, oh, this has a consequence for me, and I'm not willing to work with that consequence right now, so I'd rather do it later.
Yeah, and I knew we were changing clothes like the second time, but the parents told me we're not going back to that car because we just got in here, and that was understandable. I was like, okay, but I'm not riding on that log flume because I am not getting this T-shirt wet, and not gonna walk around awful with a pinchy feeling. I don't know how anyone can do that, really. I don't know how the boys did it with that pinchy feeling. I thought, how are you guys comfortable right now? Seriously.
Yeah. So with situations like that, did you learn to speak up about it, or was that something that just came naturally, that you were like, no, not doing this, don't feel comfortable?
Well, I think that came naturally because I'm from a very outspoken family where we'll just tell you how you're feeling. If you hate it, tough luck. So kind of came from the heritage, I would say.
Yeah. So you talk about your family being supportive. How did they react to your diagnosis? And I know that it was very early on in your childhood. How did their life, if you know, how did their life change when you were diagnosed?
Well, I mean, it was like any other family. They were going to do what they would do with any average person, I feel like. Maybe they were a lot more lenient, a little bit, I would say, because the way that my family understood it is, okay, you have autism, we're still going to hold you to the same standards, but when you need help, we'll help you.
And what are the different times in your life that you felt like you needed help from them?
Well, I mean, I need help from them every day. I mean, I know, here's a current example, the best one I can think of off the top of my head. I can't drive, so if I want someone to drive me somewhere, I can literally just call my grandfather, and if he's not busy, he'll drive me to like the doctor or the dentist because I need to go there.
Yeah. That's really great that you have a family that all chips in, right? It's not just your parents, it's also your grandparents. And I think that really helps, having that strong support system, and people that are willing to pitch in when you need it.
What can I say? I'm thankful for them, my friend. I'm really thankful for everyone in my life who helped me out or really just wants to be involved. I didn't have that, not 15. I got to do the math here. 23, 7 years ago. So, and be honest, a little longer than that. So, from now, I just take it not with a silver spoon in my mouth, but with a full amount of sugar, where it's just like, man, I can chew the food and really enjoy the taste of it. That's why I know it's not the best analogy, but kind of sounded a lot better in my head than out loud.
Yeah. So do you have, besides for your family, are there any like other resources that you have for help, or do you work with any nonprofits? How do how who else supports you in your life besides your family?
Well, it's hard to answer without being bringing in the podcast realm, but the sponsors is one thing. So every sponsorship that has had some relevant to me, I appreciate that. However, there's a lot of friends I have that support my back. My 2 buddies, my cousin, and my best friend, who's now like my brother. We've known each other since kindergarten. They've always had my back. So Those are two of my really best friends that I don't think I would be able to live without them.
And what kind of like resources or things have you been able to take advantage of in college to help you complete your studies?
Well, in college, they don't give you nothing, I don't feel like sometimes. But I feel like an answer for high school. And in high school, I think that they gave me extra tests. Wow, I got 2 tests, everybody. No, I did not do that. I would have killed myself. But anyway, I got extra time on tests. That's one thing I got. I got, let me see, what else did I get? A resource room that had other students, but there was some resource I got. I could play music if I needed to for a little bit. And I got, modified tests where, okay, they help you out by saying, all right, matching the circles with the triangles, like you have A, B, C, D, E. Well, maybe for 21, there's a circle on 21 and there's a circle on D or F.
Okay. And you said that in college you really don't get that?
I mean, they can give you what they can give you, but there's some of the accommodations that aren't going to follow high school. Don't know why. Don't ask, because I have no idea.
Okay. But there are some accommodations for you and your diagnosis, right?
Yeah, in college. Oh yeah, yeah. I got some, but I would prefer some of the high school come with me. Like high school accommodations come with me, but we try and let's just say that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. And how has your experience in college been? How have the students treated you and how have the professors been treating you?
Well, the good thing is, unlike grade school, is they were social, but they wouldn't leave you alone. Like they would pick on the smallest details. It's the other way around this time. They'll leave you alone and not pick on the smallest details, which is great because I could feel safe walking into class. But they won't talk to you. They won't want to make a new friend. Well, if you're like me who wants to go talking to people, that's a little bit of a tricky situation. And I do
Yeah.
online too because the problem I'm having, I'll be honest, the pace. If you want to teach me something, you got to go slow and at a B track, as I call it, where it's like, all right, maybe one day you're teaching, next day we're reviewing. But if you're going to teach me an A track where it's like, all right, teaching the topic, worksheet, move on, good luck with that. Because my friend, I ain't going to learn nothing.
Yeah.
And with online, I can do that. But me transferring, that's going to be a little of a hard situation. And I don't know what to do with that to this day. That's something I'm still focusing on, trying to figure out, all right, how can I teach myself at a B track when they're going at the A track? I don't know how I'm
Yeah.
going to do it, buddy. I wish I could give you the answer on how I could. But it's
Oh.
stressful, but I'll figure it out. I've figured it out since I was 1. So
Yeah, maybe because I've done stuff like this where I have recorded my classes. And that way I can kind of review it with myself.
the only problem with recording the class is that it's during the class that if I miss one word, I'm done. So like you're writing the notes, da, 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 da. Are we done? Okay, great. No, 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 no. Oh, we gotta go anyway, buddy. Sorry. Okay. I'm done, buddy.
Yeah, no,
I
I
don't
meant
know what
like
I just learned right now.
yeah, I meant with like a camera or on my phone, like a voice note, so that I would hear it. So I had this program. I don't remember what it was called. I've been out of college for a while, but there was this program that I
Come
had.
on, gal. You gotta help me out here now.
Let me try to. I will look it up and send it to you. But basically, it was on my iPad, and as I took notes, it would record what the professor was saying, and so I could literally hear what they were saying. I could play back to myself what they were saying while reading the notes. Like I could press on like a line or something, and it would read me back what the professor was saying when I wrote that.
I like what you said about voice notes. I might take that into consideration.
Yeah, it definitely helped a lot because I was someone that I did really well in school, but I also was not amazing at taking notes. And I really liked hearing what they said again. So it really helped for me. So maybe you can take that and have it help for you. I really like that you're open to figuring out a way to adapt to the situation.
I mean, I'm willing to adapt to a point, but there comes a time when, like, I'll be honest, a lot of these kids these days, they give up off the bat. Like, you have to baby them, I've noticed. And I'm supposed to be my mom being a teacher. But with me and my generation, it was like this. We'll try, but after a while, if we don't know, we don't know. Versus my mother's generation, it's like, okay, figure it out. But I can't. Okay, figure it out still. But I can't. Don't care, figure it out. That's not what I believe. And I think that's too crossing the line. And that's just like, whoa, are you going to leave them in the shop because they can't figure out how to plug in this electrical cord? No, that's not what we do. If we don't know, we don't know. We will try, but there comes a limit. That's where I was with my generation, how that concurred, and that's what I noticed.
Yeah, so how do you get past that? Like what do you tell people to do if you're in the situation where you don't know what you don't know? Like how can someone help you?
Guide me through it, which means either A, tell me the steps again, slower. B, if that fails, do it again, but guide me this time. Or if all else fails, you're going to have to do it for me. Now, I don't want to be like, all right, do it for me. Thank you. No, I don't do that. But if I don't know, and I try every last resort of mine, you're doing it for me.
Yeah.
But let me try first. I've had you a lot though with the way I think as well. I'm a very out of the box thinker sometimes where I overanalyze. I'm like with certain situations, socializing or aspects of life itself. And if I don't know, I will ask for help. But I'm like, all right, before you jump the guns, let me try this first. Let me try this. Let me try this. But if all ends comes to crap, I'm going to ask you for your help. And if your help is not good, I'm going to go to someone else. Or if you tried helping me and everyone's tried helping me, if you want me to do this, you're going to have to do it for me.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of looking at it. And I really like that you want to have the opportunity to do it yourself. You just need somebody to walk you through it and to guide you and to help you.
Right. But I don't mind at first. It's like, all right, here's what I want you to do. Read these instructions, figure it out. Oh, okay. I'll try it first. But then, if I don't know, then we're going to need some help. So I don't mind a little bit of the old generation, like throwing me in the shop to figure out the electrical cord. But if I try after 3 hours and I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. So we're coming up on about 50 minutes. I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about your podcast and tell people how they can find you and how they reach out to you.
Well, you can find me on all my major media platforms. I'm on Podbean, Spotify. If you think I'm there, I'm probably there. And you can Google search me. Google will tell you everything clearly. But I also have a website, autismrocksandrolls.com. So if you check that out, you'll see all my events. You'll see my speaking gigs coming up, and you'll see all the podcasts I've been on.
Awesome. And what kind of speaking gigs do you have coming up?
Well, let me think. What do I have coming up? Well, I mean, I know it's not really a speaking gig, it's more of an event. But I'm having a gala this weekend about autism acceptance with our speaker, Rich Beto, who was the former drummer for Finger 11, who has a stepson on the autism spectrum and has battled bipolar disorder and alcoholism.
Wow.
And let me think of what else here. And then this is still in the works, so bear with us on this. I think in June, I might be going to Stuart, Florida, and then in July, Orlando, Florida. Again, in the works, still working on the finances. But this I do know. In August 5th, we'll be having what I call an ARAR summer party, Autism Rocks and Rolls summer party, which means we will have music, and that will be from local band, All Access Band, and Duke Tomato.
Cool. So do you, with those events, like, do you plan them and throw them or?
Well, we all come over together as a board. So I have the board, as I mentioned earlier. So we do it with the board. But I like to say, I think the way this has been, someone always takes the reins of the event. So my mother takes the reins of the gala. I'm probably taking the reins of the summer party, knowing how my board is and my family is.
Yeah. That sounds like an awesome summer coming up for you.
It's a
Is
big
there
one coming up, but hey, I'll
yeah,
manage through.
is there anything that you're really excited about that's coming up?
Well, I mean, the freedom of moving out, that's one thing. Maybe seeing how that goes. So that's something kind of exciting. And let me think of what else. Well, I mean, what's exciting that's coming up is hopefully in July at some point. I'm a fan of ACDC, big rock and roll guy. So hopefully I can find a time to see our local ACDC tribute band, ACDC Thunderstruck. So that's something a little personal that you can put on there, as I'm a big fan of rock and roll music.
Yeah. So is that how the name of your podcast came about?
Yep. And I'll tell you this, rock and roll music helps me my loud noises. So they're the reason why I love pyro and loud noises and air horns. So rock and roll music kind of changed my mind on that.
Yeah. I think music can be very therapeutic. So I love that you found a music that helped you cope with your autism in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any last words or like nuggets of wisdom that you want to leave my audience with?
Well, I mean, it's not really words of wisdom, but it's the truth. I think if the world could be nice, not be stupid, we get along so much better, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a nice day, everyone.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here, Sam. I really enjoyed having you here. If you're watching this now or on the replay, please make sure to reach out to Sam, follow him and his speaking engagements. Lewis said bye. And I'm sure you guys will be in contact as well. That'll be really cool. I hope something amazing comes out of that. Um, but if you are watching this and you think that there's someone that needs to hear it, please make sure to share. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you again, Sam, for being here. And I will see you all for another episode next Wednesday. Bye bye.